All right, we got my client and friend, Chris. Chris Savage is in the building here.
Hello.
And really excited to have you here, man. Like I love doing these interviews with clients because I do these with clients when they've accomplished something or, when it's noteworthy. And you've been, working with me in my mentorship for about 3 months ish, and we're gonna continue working together, which I'm stoked about. But you've just grown a lot in these last 3 months. You've taken massive action. Uh, you've taken action quickly. You've gotten wins. And I remember when you came into the program, it was like, we didn't know 100% how we were going to work together, but we got jiggy with it and we made it happen. And I'm so happy we did. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, Chris, first off, just thank you for being here on the YouTube channel and shit like that. But my first question is just tell everyone a little about yourself, what you do, who you are, and tell them about your business that you're running.
Yeah. So I'm Chris Savage. I've been an audio producer, creative director, and strategist really for the past 7 years. I started as an independent artist in late 2018. I went and got my audio production degree here, and I started to just network. My biggest thing was people. I loved being in front of the live crowd. I loved being on the stage with the live crowd. Any way I could get my hands in the music industry, you can count me there. So I worked for many years in professional business settings as well. I worked at Apple, both the sales and the back end for 3 years. And then I was a manager of a security firm for about a year and a half, where I actually managed the nighttime ops and the daytime ops. So 24/7 schedule, I was the guy in charge. And, at 24 years old and no bachelor's degree, that whips you into shape. And I knew that I liked that, but I knew that it wasn't my field, right? And so my home was music and my interest was business. And so when working with Lee, he helped me align a perfect business model that combines those two factors and created a lane where I coach independent artists and creative businesses as a consulting service. So we're going to come up with solutions for content, solutions for branding, and ultimately systems for them so that they can grow incrementally while organically bringing people in. They don't have to struggle and figure things out like I did for years. And when I partnered with Lee, man, I was on my last 500 bucks. I had never really made money with music, whether that was in sales or with direct production. And within literally 2 weeks of Lee's system, I had a client in my books. I had money in the account and I was running in a role that I had never been before. So it was a lot of imposter syndrome. There was a lot of quick learning to do, but that's my thing. I love to just get in the water and figure out how to swim afterwards. And it opened up so much for me. This program is just much more than coaching. It's a lifestyle. You work with Lee, you see how he moves, you see how he talks, and that is a predecessor to where you will be if you do this type of work. So much confidence, so much self-love, my self-image improved, much more than just the business. And that is some of the highest quality work that I've ever received in my life, period. And going forward for me, my ventures are to create a collective, the One Mind Collective, that's going to host a global talent all across, that's going to help with those same things, branding, content, promotion. But I want to be in person now. I want to be going out into the world and networking with people using the skill sets I have best and growing that collective organically and just bringing more light and awareness to more artists around the world. So that's my mission. That's who I am. I'm very grateful to be here with Lee. He's done a number of tricky things to make things work with me. Many times, I thought I was going to bottom out, but he raised me up, man, and he kept me going. And I'm in a place now that I didn't think I could be. I had no idea this was possible 3, 4 months ago. So it's a sincere thank you to Mr. Lee. And I'm very, very, very happy to be here and to continue doing it.
Yeah, yeah, dope. No, that's fucking awesome. There's a few things I didn't know about your whole like work resume. Super interesting. And I wanted to ask about, I mean, you had just there at the end had said you didn't know this was possible 3, 4 months ago. What didn't you know was possible?
I didn't know that it was possible to change your life off a phone screen. I didn't know that money was sitting in my phone waiting to be had. It was just a few
Okay.
conversations away. And it was a switch from being somebody in the process to finding what I was already an expert in and just nailing that, just doubling down on what works and cutting out what doesn't. And that's where, when I got into numbers mode, when I got into business, I really understood that people are the value. It's not the money itself, it's the transformation. And I knew that I could provide that on an exceptional level. I just didn't know it was possible for me to be the one who was raking in dollars, being able to actually run a business. I always thought I'd end up having to work for somebody else or do something. I never thought I could really be the leader that I envisioned until Lee put it in my chest that you are him. And having that accountability was life changing, just life changing.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't know that. I'm just glad we're having this. discussion anyways.
It's
Uh,
cool.
yeah, it is cool. So, okay, so this is great. So, one of the things I love doing in these interviews with people is figuring out the before and after because
Yeah.
I don't truly know the before, right? And I probably never will. I didn't know you before.
Yeah.
So before you were saying you were like you knew you had these certain capabilities, but you didn't know how you were going to be the one doing it.
Hmm.
And now you're feeling more like the leader for yourself and for your clients. I would love to know throughout this process, it sounds like there was some challenges that you've been going through even after, right? You invested in the program, we've been working together.
Yeah.
What were those challenges? What were those big challenges and how'd you overcome them?
So I'd say the biggest challenge, and then I'll scaffold from there. The biggest challenge was honestly confidence. And it's a very blanket term, but it's it's real. You won't understand how unconfident you are until you're on a call with somebody and you're trying to figure out how do I actually talk to them with my agenda in mind, but also being personable. And then when you have a client, this huge dread kind of comes over you that says, oh my God, they paid for this. Can I provide what they paid for? And that's
Mhm.
confidence. And so what happened with me was I had always been scatterbrained with my ideas. I always did a little bit of each thing. And I honestly, to my degree, I feel like I can pick things up pretty quickly and do them pretty well, but I never nailed down a system and a process for months on end. And so when I got with Lee, we really took things at a step-by-step cadence. And when I got into the program, this is about a month and a half in, I had my first client, things are going well. And I realized that my internal systems, the way that I developed confidence, was not secure. And so I would start to have emotional dips or start to get really big highs. And I even that out by looking at this world in an abundance based mentality. I realized I was running away from something. I was in a scarcity based mentality. There's a finite amount of sales, there's a finite amount of money. And I completely flipped that frequency in that equation. And that broke me out and allowed me to do what I do now. And it was also the second biggest challenge was my habits. My habits were in the way of progressing me to a life that I wanted. I would love to play video games for my dopamine. I would love to find an excuse to do something last minute. That was just how I used to live. And in this program, accountability became the biggest factor. And honestly, the community that we had, watching other people get wins, watching other people's processes, it really helped me stay on track and not get lost. And I would always do that, right? I was my own person, my own agenda, the captain of my own boat. So wherever the ship went, I'd let the water kind of steer it versus planting my flag in the sand and really being the leader that I wanted to be with systems, confidence, and accountability. So those big three were the hugest limiters for me. And once I did this execution just over and over and over again, it first was a habit about 21 days or so, but now after 3 months, it's a lifestyle. This is what I do. This is what I do for dopamine. This is what I do for serotonin. Even in cortisol state, I'm still here. Nothing shakes the boat, and it's going on one sailed path to the direction. And I really couldn't have done that without you, Lee, because I was always scrambling to figure out what's going to get me to success. And instead of finding the quickest way, I found my way. And that's really thanks to you.
Oh wow. Okay. Bro, powerful. I'm gonna sleep really well tonight, man. Now this just made my day. Okay. So I don't, this is coming up for me that I wanted
Hmm.
to I'll ask you about it. We'll go back and forth.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like there's I hate to overgeneralize, but I almost think there's like two types of people because everybody struggles with confidence at some level and in some capacity. And at some different angle, lack of confidence will hit you in some way, right? I've noticed, I mean, I still struggle with confidence in certain ways, right?
Great.
Can I get to 1 million a year with this, with music? Can I do it? Can I do it with any form of music, right? Like there's a little bit of doubt there.
Yeah.
Um, but see, for you said the biggest challenge for you was confidence. And
Yeah.
I knew that from just I mean, we've worked together closely for 3 months, so, like, I knew just from reading the text messages and talking to you, but then I'm
Mhm.
like but it's funny with you, Chris, like, your actions don't say that. It's
Yeah.
kinda funny. You were lying in a good way, right? Some people, they
Hmm.
say there's something, but they're not. You
Yeah.
said you struggled with confidence, but then I'm like, "Yeah, but you got a client super quickly, you're doing all the work, you're showing up, you're taking action." and you have this aura and this positive energy and like this power about you. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
why does he keep saying that confidence is a problem? He just doesn't show, you don't show up like confidence is a problem.
Yeah.
Whereas I see other people, and not necessarily clients, I just mean in general, that like you can tell they're just so not confident, but they won't say it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can tell you're not. And I wanted to ask, I want to give you like a hypothetical.
Yeah.
What I've noticed, and I wrote this on an Instagram post that's going to go out tomorrow,
Mhm.
but I wrote that like even when there was for me when I was like I always think back to the my Rocky cut scene was 6 months in 2023, three
Mm.
jobs, 25K in debt, also investing in coaching and DMing 50 cold DMs a day to new
Yeah.
artists, right? There was no reason for me to believe in myself in that time. There just
Right.
wasn't. Like I was like I have no way out. I keep investing in coaches. They're all bullshit
Yeah.
until I
Yeah.
found the right coach. And for there was always a reason for me not to be confident, but then like I never gave up that hope. I never gave up belief.
Mhm.
So for you, like I want to understand more of your mindset. When you say you struggled with confidence, like
Yeah.
how is it that even though you say you struggled with confidence, you were still able to take actions?
So the one thing I didn't care about was failing, and that was huge for me.
Mm,
I think what it was, and this is such a great question, dude. That's amazing. I think what it was that I knew that I could be a confident person, and so I just acted the role. I was in theater as a kid. I've always been an impressionist. I could always just do voice impressions. So I know what a confidence person looks like. I know what the actions that are taken by a confidence person, but behind closed doors off the camera, being back at, in my bed or something like that, I'd have war in my mentality. And I still go through that on a daily basis. The difference now is I can look back at 3 months and say, I did that shit. So, I mean, you can't really be tripping. It's when you are battling decisions and you're battling tasks and then you end the day with nothing accomplished. That's where I felt weakened by my own system. So then I picked up something and I didn't care how it looked. I didn't care if it came across perfect. It was just a matter of did it get done? Was it executed? And I didn't get that mentality before joining Music Money Mastery because that's what it took to get success. When I joined in, very, very generally here and bluntly, like I thought that I was 3 clients away from freedom. And what I failed to realize is that this is a different world of being. And what I needed at the beginning was a lot of data. And I thought that I could just get in there, shoot from the hip. Oh, okay, cool. I did one paid ad, I did one script. All right, I'm cool and I'm a legend now, right? No, 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 no. There's so much work to it. And that's a good thing because that
yeah.
makes you better. And so I was just doing the work that I knew I had to do if I was going to become a confident person. And honestly, fake it till you make it, right? Like I did so much of this stuff, so much iteration testing on my own end that now I can say confidently, okay, I did the work. Here comes the reward. And it was also a lot of pulling off of the reward. I stopped caring if I got clients or got money, as in it didn't break me. I knew these systems were gonna work. And so that was me just putting more time and more focus and energy into who I am, what I'm saying, and who I'm helping. That also created a bridge between the unconfident Chris and the confident Chris who was waking up every day crushing those tasks. If that makes sense, I hope that paints that picture.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm glad you brought that up. That's a theme I know of course, which is it's like act as if. That's how
Yep.
that's how I've said it. Act as if. And that's really funny. I'm glad when you said it, I had the breakthrough. You said
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid of failing, even though
Yep.
you like maybe weren't so confident, but you didn't care about failing.
No.
Dude, I've been recently s- trying really hard and making a concerted effort to really analyze all my clients, like really
Mm.
analyze them based on their behavior, who's getting wins, who's not, and why. And I'm
Yep.
glad that I text everyone every day and that I have all these one-on-one calls. Like I'm really glad that I'm doing all this support,
Yeah.
which I didn't do in my last coaching program as much, just because I was
Interesting.
so new. Yeah, I didn't have that. I had one-on-one calls, but I wasn't texting everyone every day like I do now. I didn't do
Yeah.
that. I knew though when I started this that I would. And so I'm always looking for these little things that someone might say to be like, how come you're making it work? And maybe someone else isn't. I'm always like, I was on a call with Ange today and I asked her stuff like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you had that. I feel like you said the thing that gave me that breakthrough, which is you just weren't afraid of failure.
Yeah,
You weren't
I
afraid.
knew it's part of the equation. It's part of everything, and it's honestly replaced the word failure with but basically learning, or with it's a feature of success, and it's like there's no way that you can hit it perfect the first time. It's after 10,000 attempts do you finally understand the game. And I'm still learning every single day, and for me, I'm cool with it because it's for me. I always ask this question. I say, okay, Chris, if you didn't stress about this and you didn't work your ass off to get those results, what's the alternative? It's a life of mediocrity, and that is not what I was meant for. So whether I bump my shoulders and get scraped up along the way, I know on the end of that, I'm going to be fulfilled with who I am, regardless of what happened from.
Mm. I've heard, I don't remember who I heard this from, but I've heard that we in our brain equate fear and failure with dying.
Yes.
Like it's in our little caveman brains that like if we, whatever it is we fear, we really equate
Mm,
that to it's like the death of an ego feels like the real, like you really are dying.
yeah.
And so I have noticed that about people that I admire, great people. They're not afraid. They're
Mm,
more afraid of not trying
yeah.
than they are
Yeah.
of failing. To them, to us, failure is not trying. Failure is giving up. That is the failure. But a
Yes.
lot of people give up because they're afraid of failing. And I'm like, no, that is the fucking failure, bro. We play these
Yeah.
mental
Yeah.
gymnastics. I'd be curious to know too, right now, what are,
Mm,
as we're going to continue to work together,
yeah.
what are challenges that you're now looking to overcome? It's September 22nd. We'll call it to end the year off. What are the challenges you're looking to overcome now?
Yeah, the biggest challenges for me is just finding a really nice groove with my workflow. Just due to, my current occupation and then the work that I have coming in now with clients and then the room for expansion. So I'm just trying to carve out exactly throughout my weeks and throughout my months how my actions align with the goals that I have. I've set some pretty big goals for myself. And so, I'm really cool on just putting my head down, going through the trenches, and then coming out with it. So now it's just aligning what I actually get done on a day-to-day basis with what I'm aiming to do in the future. And I'm also just being real with myself. There was a lot of times in my life that I didn't want to look at my current situation because I was embarrassed by it. And that's a
Mm,
big thing that I fixed. And so for this year, end of the quarter, is structure and systems. And then once I have even more acumen and knowledge in terms of business, income, how to manage yourself and scale your operation, 2026 is going to be even more experimentation and testing. I'm really looking forward to plugging everything into my one mind collective, and that's going to be my business front. So I'm visual. I'm still running with some vision right now, but right now it's a lot of hands-on practicality and experimentation with my content, with my messaging, how I talk to people in this platform, and then it's also endurance and sustainability for me. Like I've always wanted to be a consistent gym lifter, right? And I just never made the time and never made that commitment. So this month I did that, and I have been life changing myself with that, man. It's so unique to push yourself against something that's uncomfortable and then come out on the other side and then like it. That's a wild psychological trip. So for me, other than just trying more things and experimenting, it's structures and systems within my business, my health, and my relationships.
that's fucking awesome. I love it. I love it. So talk about the actual, like, what were the tangible results you got? Because I know I don't remember
Yeah.
all the clients and the cash collected, but what were all the actual tangible results you got?
Yeah. So my first month of the program, which fun fact, everybody, I joined in late June. And then I went on a trip, and I actually didn't get started until 2 weeks into the program. But
Okay.
still within that snapshot of time, I landed my first coaching client. We did 750 over 2 weeks, or excuse me, over 2 months, so 8 weeks. And he had some issues come up here and there, but with Lee's system, with the accountability feature, I knew how to snip things in the bud that I didn't like. And I also had a structure that I could repeat. So I had this mentality already. If this one doesn't work out for whatever reason, maybe I wasn't the best qualifier in that situation, I knew that I could get more. And so within a month, I hit a client for 750 for coaching specifically, nothing in production. And then over that period of time, from about the first month to the second month, I was able to land two production clients. One actually came off of Threads, which was wild. And the other one was a local warm lead within my inbound network now. And we actually are continuing to do $150 mixes, just very quick base stuff. They send it out to an expert master. So they have everything glued up for them. I'm just the middle ground guy that gets it good. But that's been a really fun experience. It's been a really nice exercise for my skill set. And these artists are actually ones that I really am happy to work with. They have really good energy and really good ideas. So those guys come in when they can, right? Whenever they have a song ready, they send it over to me, and we'll get that mix done for 150. And then after a good chunk of time really working on my brand, my refinement, my messaging, I was able to close at my full price point. An amazing client who I'm so happy to be working with. He's an insane producer out of Phoenix, and he wants to monetize his abilities, and he really needs structure and systems so he can grow his network, get his content looking sharp, and grow his brand and business to a level similar to what we do. And so I'm just helping him through weekly one-on-ones. We're going to start setting up some documents for him. Everything's customized, but we did lock in a full 3K, doing 1K installments over the next 3 months. And that was when I had the shit my pants moment. It was funny. I'll tell you, man, it was funny because I didn't feel anything when it happened. But then after I was like, oh, this is real. And so I see the power of what we do here, and it is really just the power of yourself. The highest version of yourself is something Lee talks about, especially when showing up on calls. And so with that guy, I just gave value. I was just trying to help, and I really did enjoy just having a relationship with him. It turned into a client coach situation, and obviously I couldn't be happier to support him through his journey. And now, with these systems, with this experimentation in play, I feel like there's millions to be made on the phone, man. So I'm very grateful. And I was able to stack many wins in different areas, which is really cool. I didn't come in with just one offer. I came in with a solutions-based mindset to anybody's problem. And that was able to get me into rooms. But I'll tell you, for the people watching this at home, man, Lee's systems, literally within a week of implementation, will show you exactly how to get in front of your ideal consumer and show you how to talk to them at an expert level. Like, it's not little man stuff. It's no lemonade stand sales. No, this is professional, very cut and direct, know what you want, get what you get type relationships. You couldn't find better. I've watched others. I've seen others. I've taken classes. I've worked at Apple. This is the real deal. So literally within a month, my ability to sell skyrocketed. My ability to frame a business skyrocketed. And these are things I had never really been exposed to. I'd seen them in passing. I worked for other places, but to do it yourself, totally different regime. And Lee's systems are bulletproof, tactical, and his support, his one-on-one support, is what's going to grow you because it's specific to your problem. YouTube videos, man, that's why they're free. It's because they're free. They're little value until you apply it. I've always believed when you pay attention. So I was more than happy to develop the relationship off of that. And now going forward for us in the future, I'm really excited to develop more business acumen, more knowledge in terms of the deeper systems of how we run this, and ultimately develop more mindset. Because you're from a world that I have never lived in, but you've lived in mine, and so that's where I can't wait to see how I can match that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, dope. Wow, that's
Hitting you
great.
with a deep one. Sorry, dude.
I appreciate you, bro. No, this is, yeah, humbling experience for me. This is why I do this, right? My mission is to help musicians, like expert music producers, see the world that is, I call magic internet money, right? I want music producers to see that, hey man, the conventional music industry is not a path you have to take. You don't have to rely on sync or Spotify streams or placements with big artists or touring, right? You don't have to
Yep.
do those things.
No.
You can make money on the internet and build a real online business around your passions of music.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
it's always like, for me, this is the mission for me, is to do that. And the making money part is cool too.
Yep.
So, man, thank you so much for this, bro. Like, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure, bro. For real. Like, this is great. I'll drop the link in the description, but why don't you tell people where they can connect with you and see your content?
Yeah. So I'm at Chris Savage Music on all platforms. So that's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, all of them. And so we drop weekly on YouTube, and I'm coming in with even more value on the Instagram. We're going to be launching our community very soon. And in the near future, get ready for the One Mind Collective, y'all. It's going to be lit. I can't wait.
Awesome. Awesome. Guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.